All right, what's up, everybody on YouTube? Wanted to film a quick video and just talk a little bit about a series that I've been thinking about trying to pull off, and I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to call it. But main idea, premise of the series will basically just be kind of going through what my everyday life looks like now, and kind of all the little things that maybe you don't think about or that people don't tell you when it comes to going from a W-2 job into entrepreneurship or real estate investing in particular, because there's definitely a lot of not great things that people don't tell you about necessarily when all of that stuff is coming up. And so I guess to start, I just wanted to kind of break down the transition from the W-2 job to what I'm doing now as a real estate investor. And, one of the first things that hits you with that on the negative side is, your first week after work, when you get to Friday, you don't get a paycheck, right? And that's something that's like, it's an obvious thing, but as the weeks go on, even though it may be obvious, you're not working, so you're not getting paid at the same time, it can also be really stressful because there's just a lot of things that all of a sudden, you're in complete control, not only of making a ton of money, but also of not making any money. Or the really cool thing is that sometimes you can even screw stuff up to the point where you have to pay money. So that's great. So there's a lot of things like that I think just kind of creep up to the point where in my head, you may be thinking that you need to make, whatever, $5,000-$10,000 a month to replace your income. But what you don't think about is all the new expenses, right? When it comes to healthcare, when it comes to paying for your own software, paying for your computer and equipment and all those things, like that stuff that's just paid for you at your job, you're now responsible for. And another big one that's hit me a lot is just being responsible for my work, to the point where, if you're in your job and you screw something up, maybe it goes back on your manager or your CEO or your company or whatever. But when I screw something up, people just threaten to sue me. So it's way less cool, and a lot more stressful. So that's some of the realities that I've faced with switching over from the W-2, just with the uncertainty of all that stuff, where I don't know when the next paycheck's going to come in. I can't sit there on a Friday and celebrate my paycheck that came in and go out to dinner or whatever. I can make a lot more money, and I can also make no money at all, or like I said, in the past couple weeks, spend money instead of make money. So exact opposite of direction of what I'm trying to do. But with all of that stuff just comes the reality of, with what I'm doing now, the possibility of taking what I was making in a year as an engineer and possibly making that same amount of money each month, or more money than that each month. And that's kind of where the trade-off comes, where the ceiling is just so much higher when it comes to that stuff, but at the same time the lows are just way lower. So I've found that the peaks and the valleys right now are just way higher, way lower, a lot more inconsistent with the ups and downs. And a quote that I always live by, from Hormozi, that he talks about is, I think when people think about quitting their job or trying to do their own thing or whatever, most people would say, well, yeah, I expect that to be pretty hard. I expect that to be a hard thing to do. But what a lot of people don't think about is, what does that mean for something to be hard? And so as I've gone through a lot of these things with screwing deals up and losing money and not knowing what to do, is just the reframe that Hormozi always talks about, which is that this is what hard feels like. And that's something that I have had to repeat to myself almost every day for probably the past 2 or 3 weeks, is just, hey, what I'm doing right now, this is actually what hard feels like. And I expected it to be hard. I just didn't know what hard meant. And so that's something that helps me to reframe that a little bit. But besides that, like I said, there's a lot more opportunity. So it's really cool. And I want to touch on all of the, new opportunities and all of the things that have come up as a result of getting to do this. But at the same time, I just want to be really realistic and start shooting some videos on, my day-to-day and all the things that honestly just suck about what I'm doing, along with all the good stuff, so that it really just paints a much clearer picture. Because, real estate investing in general kind of has this, YouTube internet vibe of, get rich quick and look at these huge paychecks. And the cool thing is I've actually gotten some of those huge paychecks already. But those huge paychecks were kind of canceling out the huge expenses that I had to pay for all the mistakes I made. And that's the thing that people don't necessarily show you on a day-to-day basis. So anyway, the whole idea behind this is just to kind of shoot a series where I can basically just talk about what I'm going through and hopefully kind of convey that to maybe the person that's like one step behind me, or somebody that's maybe a few months prior to where I'm at now. So I can just talk a little bit more about all of the struggles that I've been through and maybe some ways that you could potentially avoid those things, which would obviously be the goal for you. So hopefully I can be beneficial in that sense and just kind of sharing the authentic, real version of real estate investing, especially early on when there's a lot of things that I don't know how to answer, and just how I've dealt with those things, and hopefully how you can do the same. So that's the idea behind the series. Hopefully I'll be posting at least a couple of these a week, just breaking all of that down and doing my best to help people in whatever way I can. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you think that that might be helpful to you in your business or where you're at right now, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below, and check out the future videos as they come out. Appreciate it.